Right now, Australian animation is having one of the biggest moments it's ever had in the world stage. And most people here didn't even notice it happened. Because it happened on the other side of the planet, at a festival in a little French town called Annecy. That's the biggest animation event in the world. And this year, Australia showed up with more than 40 studios under one banner. This is the largest showing this country has ever sent. Hi, I'm Kim, and this is a Remember K.A.T.E breakdown. I've spent 20 years in animation, layout and previs machinery behind films you've seen. So when my own country turns up at Annecy in force, I pay attention. By the end of the video, you'll have a proper map of who went, what they bought, and whether there's a real boom or just a nice photo op. If you appreciate this sort of content, gently tap that like button. All right, let's go. All right, first up, what actually happened? Every year, the animation industry piles into Annecy, and attached to the festival is a giant marketplace called Mifa. That's where the real business goes down. Deals, co-productions, financing, hiring. And this year, instead of a handful of Aussie studios wandering around on their own, they came as one coordinated group under a banner called Animation Australia. More than 40 companies and practitioners, a national stand on the show floor, an industry panel, a networking function, all of it led by Ausfilm and backed by basically every screen agency in the country. The pitch to the rest of the world was pretty direct. Come make your animation here and get a 30% rebate on post and visual effects works while you do it. That's the hook, and it's working. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because Australia isn't one animation scene. It's really two, and they look completely different. And I'll leave VFX out of it, that's a whole nother story. Down south, between Adelaide and Melbourne, there's this surge of independent, creator-driven work. Smaller teams, original ideas, stuff with a real voice. Think shows like Koala Man or Smiling Friends, or a feature like Lesbian Space Princesses. These aren't giant productions with giant budgets. They're punchy, they're distinctive, and they're getting noticed way beyond what their size should allow. Then you've got the other side, the Sydney-Brisbane, where the money and the scale seems to live. This is where you find the big pipelines and the service work on huge international productions. Flying Bark in Sydney, and then there's my home turf, Brisbane, which is quietly turning into a proper animation town. And honestly, that's the part I'm most excited to talk about. Because Brisbane didn't send one studio to Annecy, it sent a whole cluster. And they're all tangled together in the best way. You've got Ludo Studios right in the heart of Fortitude Valley, and that's where Bluey's made, in-house by around 50 people. Bluey, one of the most streamed shows in America. Then there's Cosmic Dino, a Brisbane-based studio that just moved into a new facility, over 1,500 square metres, with its own review cinema. And they're doing the animation work on Bluey. Same city, same story. There's Photon, another Brisbane outfit, who teamed up with Cosmic Dino on a feature called The Pout Pout Fish that hit cinemas here at the start of the year. And then there's Pixel Zoo, also based in Brisbane, who are co-producing a big animated feature based on Zach Power books alongside Flying Bark and Cheeky Little Media. 4 studios, 1 city, all at the biggest animation market in the world at the same time. That's not a coincidence anymore. That's a scene. Quick break. If you're into the Australian animation scene and you want to keep a finger on the pulse of what's coming up next, do me a favour and subscribe. And check out the description below, which has links to the studios that I mentioned. Alright, let's get back into it, because the next part's actually really exciting. You see, it would be easy for a thing like this to be just the big players. The Blueys, the Flying Barks, but it wasn't. A big chunk of the delegation that was deliberately built to carry the small teams and the solo creators too. The South Australian Film Corporation funded independent practitioners to make the trip. People like the team behind a short called Wishes and the creators behind Lesbian Space Princesses. Screen Queensland backed up to 9 local practitioners who were actively out there pitching their own projects. I mean, that matters, because a festival like Annecy can be brutally expensive, and the people with the most original ideas are usually the ones who can least afford to be in the room. Somebody made sure that they got in. That's the healthy version of the industry. Not just the giants, but the next wave getting a real shot. And I'll be honest with you for a second. That's a funny tension in all of this that people in the industry rarely say out loud. The big studio spotlight is incredible, and it deserves every bit of the attention it gets. But a lot of the heart of this business quietly belongs to the small producers. The weird, personal, passion project stuff that nobody's guaranteed to ever see. You can be genuinely proud of the big machine and still find that pull towards the little guy at the same time. Both things are true, and a delegation that made room for both is a good sign. Now, one reality check so I'm not overselling this. Annecy also hands out awards, and this year Australia didn't take home any of the top awards. Those went to films from elsewhere. But that was never the point of this trip. This wasn't about winning a medal. It was about showing up at the market, being taken seriously, and coming home with deals and relationships. On that measure, this was a genuine win, and probably a sign of more to come. So, is it a real boom? Yeah, I think it actually is. Not because of one trophy, but because of the whole country turned up together. Big studios and tiny ones, side by side, and the rest of the world took notice. And if you want to go deeper into the independent side of things, or you think there's a project I should check out, just leave a comment down below. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it when I do actually check them out. Thanks for making it all the way through, and keep animating that entertains.